Hey folks, this is JR with DIY Prepper. Welcome to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about the best prepper and survival items under $10. I've done videos over stuff under 100, stuff under 60, stuff under 20, and I think this is going to be about as cheap as you can get, but still be able to pick up some decent quality survival items. And the first item on this list is going to be storm-proof matches. These are windproof and waterproof. You can even dunk them underwater while they're burning, take them back out, and then they'll come right back to life. And they can burn for around 15 seconds. The best deals that I've found on these have actually been local. Like, I've been able to find them for around $3 at brick and mortar stores. But if you buy them online, they might be a little bit more expensive. The next item on the list is Mylar emergency blankets. And these are good for reflecting your body heat back to you. And then also they can be used for signaling since they're made out of a reflective material. Now, I got this as a 4-pack. It was under $10. And you can buy individual, just thin, cheap ones like this for probably $3 to $5. And in all honesty, these aren't going to be the best in the world since they're so thin. They're not going to be as durable as some other ones, but they're going to be okay for keeping in things like EDC bags or other kits. Now, if you want something that's a little more durable, Survive Outdoors Longer makes a heavy-duty emergency blanket, and those are available for around $15. Tarps are another good prepper and survival item that you can get for under $10. Given they might not be that big, they might not be the most heavy-duty, but you should be able to find something that you can use for like temporary emergency shelters or ground cloths that you can maybe keep in your bug out bag or under the seat of your car. And you can also use them for covering holes in things like windows in your roof after a storm to prevent water from damaging your house even further. Another use that's relevant for today with everything going on in the world, you can use tarps and some tape to cover things like vents or leaky areas around your doors leading into your home. So if you're worried about contaminants from the outside, such as fallout entering in, then you can use that tarp and tape to prevent that from happening. Buckets are another good multi-use item that you can still find for under $10. I know most buckets run probably around $4 or $5 if you buy them in a brick and mortar store. Buckets are really expensive to buy online. Just go to a local big box store, go to a hardware store, something like that, and you should be able to find something. Now, given you want to use food-grade buckets for food storage, and those really aren't that hard to find. A lot of people get them for free. You can get them at Tractor Supply because those are meant to hold animal food and things like that. But buckets can also be used as water filters. I showed how to attach a Sawyer tap to one to turn it into a gravity filter. And also you can use them for things like toilets. Just add a piece of a pool noodle to the top and a trash bag liner, and that's something that you can use the bathroom in if you lose running water. Then also you can use them as washing machines. You can cut a hole in the lid, put it over the top of a plunger handle that has not been used for gross tasks, and you can use that as an agitator, and the bucket and lid will keep all that water in there so that you can use it for more than just a couple of garments. You can also get potable aqua tablets for under $10. And these are basically water purification tablets. You have iodine tablets here, which kill germs, and then you have neutralization tablets, which will get rid of a lot of that iodine taste. And just to be honest, this is not my preferred way for treating water. I mean, you can get things like Sawyer Minis and Life Straws for around $20. But if you're needing something under $10, these will do, but they only last for a few years before you need to replace them. Various kinds of camp fuel are also good prepper and survival items to pick up for under $10. You should be able to get a lot of different, at least small quantities of fuel. Like you can get denatured alcohol for things like spirit burners. I think this is around $8 or $9 now for a 1-quart can. Then butane for like butane stoves, you can still get this for around $3 or $4 for an 8-ounce canister. Sterno can be had for around $3 or $4. I know that propane has gone up, especially when it comes to these little 1-pound bottles. I think one of these is around $5 or $6 locally, and I think the 2-pack is around like somewhere between $9 and $11. It might be more where you live. Like I've said before in other videos, here in East Texas, it's a pretty low cost of living compared to other places. But you can also get some lamp oil. I don't think you can get a bottle this big for under $10. It might be about half this size. But this is something that you really need to stock up on, especially with all of the energy concerns going on now. Because having fuels like this, it's going to allow you to cook, heat your home, and then also provide some light sources as well. And another fuel source that you can get for under $10 is solid fuel tablets. The ones by Esbit, they're the most well-known, and they tend to be a little bit more expensive than the others, but you can get at least some solid fuel tablets under $10. Might not be Esbit, but these are good if you need something stable that you can just put in a bag or kit and forget about. And they work with various kinds of just small stoves. Like this is an Esbit ultralight stove, and it actually came with these. I got the stove and then 6 tablets for around $13. It was under $10 when I first looked at it, but the price went up just like everything else is. But if you have something like a canteen stove or even like a bottle stove, then you can use these solid fuel tablets with those as well. You can also get zip ties and duct tape for under $10, and these are both good for doing things like making repairs. I actually did a full video over different uses for zip ties, showing how you could use it as like a lashing if you need to create some sort of tripod. Also, you can use it for fabricating tools, and duct tape has a lot of those same uses, and of course, you can use it with things like tarps, like I mentioned earlier, to prevent things like drafts and contaminants from entering into your home. But for things like that, maybe painter's tape might be a little bit better choice, and you can find plenty of that for under $10 also. Another decent survival item for under $10 is the Mora Craftline Basic. And it's just a small carbon steel knife, comes with a 3.6-inch blade, then also Mora's just standard plastic sheath with a drain hole. And this one, since it's so low priced, it's not going to be quite as refined as other Moras, including things like the companion. Like the handle, it doesn't have rubber overmolds on it, and then also the spine on it is extremely rough. It's so rough that they even show a close-up picture of it on the product page. So that means you're not going to be able to do things like strike a ferro rod with it, but I'm sure a few minutes with a file could probably change that. Where this is going to fit in with, I guess, me and my preparedness is, this is just going to go in my truck. This is going to go in there with my Fiskars hatchet and also my Corona saw. And having those 3 items, it's going to give me a decent woods kit that I can do most of the things that I might need to do. But also, everything in there, it's kind of low price, so if something happens to it, like it gets stolen, I'm not going to be that heartbroken about it. Another good small survival item for under $10 are ferro rods. Like, you can get this one by Bayite for around $8. And something like this is going to be small enough that you can fit down in EDC bags, kits, also, I mean, your glove box or center console, just to give you one additional way to start a fire. And something like this, of course, in addition to being able to strike it with the back of your knife, I've found that striking it with like the back of a saw works even better. So you can use something like a folding saw or even the saw blade on something like a multi-tool, and all of that will work extremely well. Paracord is another good thing that you can pick up for under $10. Just be sure that you are getting real 550 paracord. There's a lot of imitations out there. Some are really cheap, and then others cost about as much as the real deal, so you might as well get something that's legit. Now, of course, you can use this for things like lashings, making repairs, securing tarps over loads, also making gear, clotheslines, shoelaces. So there's really no reason that every prepper shouldn't have at least a decent supply of this stuff. Another good thing to pick up for under $10 is N95 masks. And I know a lot of people aren't crazy about these after all the mandates, this, that, and the other. That's not really why I'm putting it on this list. The reason why is there's a lot of different situations that we could be put in that we might be exposed to harmful dust or other particles. Like maybe you're in a city and then like a building catches on fire and you have to pass through some smoke or some dust to get to safety. Having one of these over your face could prevent you from breathing in a lot of different harmful things. Then also, another thing related to what's going on in the world, this is going to be a lot better than nothing if there is like fallout in the air. Now, of course, a gas mask, it would be preferred, but something like an N95, it's going to remove a lot of those alpha and beta particles to prevent you from breathing in. Now, of course, it isn't going to do anything against ionizing radiation, but it will prevent a lot of harmful stuff from entering your body. And you can also pick up things like Mountain House and other backpacking meals for under $10. Now, these individual pouches, I think they're around $9 or maybe right at $10 now. I know that the price of them has gone up, and then also they've kind of dropped the amount of food that they're putting in each pouch. I'm not really a big fan of that. But, I mean, it's a good way to have some decent tasting, very long lasting food. And they have a good selection of entrees. Like I know Mountain House, they have things like lasagna, chicken and rice, all sorts of different things. Lasagna is one of my favorites along with chili mac. So, I mean, if you want to have something to kind of bolster your food storage so you're not just eating things like beans and rice and canned goods all the time, then picking up some of these is a good idea. Nails and screws are another thing that you may want to pick up. Man, there's a lot of them that are available for under $10. Like a box of 3.5-inch deck screws, you can find those somewhere between like maybe $6 and $10. You can find like 1-pound boxes of nails for under $10 as well. And these are going to be good for making repairs after a disaster to something like your home. And then also, these longer deck screws, you can use them to reinforce the strike plates on your door. So if you can't afford something like a Door Armor Max, which is basically a very long, like 4-foot strike plate that makes your door way harder to kick in, then at least you can replace the existing screws in your strike plate with these longer ones, which will sink all the way down into the stud and give it at least a little bit more resistance if somebody's trying to force their way in. And also, a Silcock key is another good item to pick up under $10. And what a Silcock key does, it allows you to open up things like water spigots on the outside of commercial buildings. Because a lot of the times they don't have just the standard turn knob like what our houses have. They have these special types of interfaces that you need a tool like this to use because they don't want people just tampering with their water supply. Now, this is a very good urban survival tool because if you're in like a situation where water's gone out, you're needing to scavenge, there might still be water in those pipes. Just because the water utilities have gone out and water isn't flowing through the system, that doesn't mean that there isn't water hidden in certain places. Like if somebody hasn't used that spigot, there might still be some water in the pipe leading up to it. Now, of course, you probably want to filter it, but, because there's no telling how long it's been there. But this is something very good to keep in your bag. And if you guys want to see the best prepper and survival items under $100, go ahead and click here. And I'll be sure to put a nice kind of low-cost prepping playlist over here. Thank y'all for stopping by. Y'all have a good one.